I am excited. Our new you has been wonderful. It's been great seeing so many of our friends on Zoom. And today we're going to learn about decluttering. So I'm going to turn it over to Rabbi Sue.
Thank you, Randy. Um, Randy had asked me if I would start today thinking about as we often like to start and focus ourselves spiritually, ground ourselves for whatever we are exploring together. Certainly in this particular week, many of us are not just thinking about this moment today that we're sharing together, and it is so wonderful to see all of you. And also we're looking ahead a bit, not just in terms of our great plans for how we are going to organize ourselves at home, but also thinking about how we're going to organize ourselves as a nation, as we know that tomorrow is an important and significant day, as it always is every 4 years. One of the hallmarks of American democracy has always been the peaceful transfer of power. And even though we have seen other than peaceful moments in the past couple of weeks or the past week, we also have great hope for tomorrow and for all that will come after that and all that will follow. So I'd like to offer, with that in mind, a prayer for our country on the eve of inauguration. And this is a prayer by Rabbi Ayelet Cohen. Our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances, to be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us to feel our fear so that we do not become numb. Help us to be generous with others so that we raise each other up. Help us to be humble in our fear, knowing that as vulnerable as we feel, there are those at greater risk, and that it is our holy work to stand with them. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty, to not take for granted the freedoms won in generations past or in recent days, to heal and nourish our democracy, that it may be like a tree planted by the water, whose roots reach down to the stream. It need not fear drought when it comes. Its leaves are always green. Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness. Strengthen their hearts, but keep them from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share in its bounty, enjoy its freedoms, and be protected by its laws. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. May we be strong and have courage, to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion, to discern when we must listen and when we must act, to uproot bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all its forms, to celebrate the many faces of God reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gifts of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since before this nation was born. Let justice well up like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm Randy Sadegor, president of the Women of Washington Hebrew. And again, I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. This morning, we're lucky to have our own Brenda Holt, who will help us learn about decluttering. Last time she was with us, we had a great crowd and everybody was so excited to learn techniques and just kind of putting it into their head what needs to happen. So, Brenda from Moyers Movers, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for having me. I hope at some point that you'll be able to take at least a couple things away from what we're going to talk about today. And if you have questions, I think you can type them into the chat part and Randy will shoot them at me. Maybe either throughout or at the end or whatever. I'm pretty flexible the way it goes. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in sisterhood for probably close to 25 years. I've raised 4 kids. I've moved them a gazillion times from their colleges and all that kind of stuff. I have a huge Christmas decoration here, no nativity scene. And I pack it up every year and I organize and do all that kind of stuff. And, but really I've worked for TAD Relocation for 6 years till they got bought out by another company. And I did sorting and organizing and moving for mostly elderly people. And after they got bought out, I started working with Moyer Movement Management. It's a collection of us from TAD all went over to Moyer, and we started a new company there that's doing moving and organizing. So that's just my background, so you know what I'm, a little bit about me and what I'm talking about. So I happen to love decluttering. I love sorting, and it's not the process, it's the end. Everyone is usually very happy at the end. You have a lot more space, you feel better, all that. So it's always the eye on the prize. And that's why it's fun for me. For you, it's emotional, it's overwhelming, you don't know where to start. But I got to tell you, it's never too early to start. One of our own sisterhood members, I helped for over a year before she moved. So this doesn't, like, decluttering isn't just about moving, but it's, you can, whether you're moving or not, how do you get rid of your things? How do you get rid of your stuff? So we got stuff from you got stuff from your children, you got stuff that's been inherited that you're holding on. You're like the ancestral keeper of those things. Your good friends gave you gifts and you're just like, what am I gonna do with this? I like just stuck it away because I can't get rid of it, of course. You have the stuff that you bought that's unused and it's in great condition and it's been sitting there for 10 years, but you bought it and you just can't get rid of it. And then you have, which I have a couple of these, your good intention pile of, okay, it broke and all I need is crazy glue and I just have to glue it together. And then I'll be able to use it. But it's sitting there with your piles of stuff. So where do you start? Okay, first thing is like, take a deep cleansing breath and you're gonna get through this. So I always say, like, okay, you walk into a room, start it with the one room, one drawer, one closet. You don't have to do everything at once. You gotta just, you set yourself a goal of, okay, it's gonna be one bag. I had a friend of mine, every single room, and she doesn't live here, so you don't know her, she lives in Michigan. Every room was filled with something. And I walked in, I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So where do we start? And she has been living like this for years. I said, one bag, just do me a favor. Just do one bag a week and put it out. Well, she called me the other day and she started doing that and she's gone through the entire house. So if this person can do it with one bag and eventually get to one room, then you definitely can. So a lot of people have heard of Marie Kondo. If you haven't heard about her, she's the Japanese organizer. And I do like I haven't read her books and I've looked at some of her videos and all that. But the one thing that I take from her and that I use all the time is, does it bring me joy? So that's a phrase that you need to write down and remember. Does it bring me joy? Does it truly bring me joy? So like if I pick something up and I say, okay, does this bring me joy? If it takes me too long to decide, then generally I've done this a while. So I'm like, okay, no, it doesn't. Goodbye. It's going in the pile. But you know, for you, if it takes a little long and you can't decide, well, okay, it could be a yes. So I divert from Marie Kondo where I don't do the yes, no, maybe. I do yes, no, yes, no. So it kind of, you know, because the maybe makes you have to go back again and review it or not review it. My view is that if you take the yes route, you're really kind of not sure where I would have taken the no route. You're allowed to keep the item for 1 year unused, 1 year. So you tell yourself, okay, that should have been a maybe, should have been a no, but I put it in the yes. You have 1 year. If you haven't used it, then it goes out the next time you go sorting. So, you know, a lot of times I'll be wearing clothes I totally don't like, but I don't want to get rid of. So those are like, you know, the kind of tricks of the trade that you have to use. You have to tell yourself, use it. Yes, no, no maybes. And when you say no and you have your bag, there's no give backs, no give backs. You cannot go back through there. Don't let your kids, if they want to look through it, they look through it in another room. They don't say, oh, Mom, why are you keeping this? No, you're done. It's in the bag, over with. Your friends want to look through the stuff? Great. Here, take the bag, take it in your car. Don't look at it while I'm here. And whatever you don't want, then you take it to, Salvation Army or Goodwill or wherever you end up taking it. So, because you want to be able to make your decision, because it's uplifting. And if you take the stuff back, it's like bringing that burden back down on you. So, no give backs. And what I like to do is, if I'm working with a client, I have a moving company that supports me, and they'll come behind and take all the big furniture and do all that kind of stuff. But I'll just load it up in my car and drive it to Goodwill for them, because I don't want them going back through it all again. And I can't even tell you. What?
Sorry, we have a question. You're actually right there. So I wanted to bring it up. Where do you take or give those things in the bags?
All right, I'm going to get to that. I definitely will get to where, because there's a whole bunch of different options. So, and that's a whole other thing. So I will promise you I will get to that. One thing when you're making the decisions is, if you can put this in your mind, it helps. You're not the caretaker of all your ancestral things. There are some things that you love that belong to your grandmother, your great grandmother. I have my grandfather's ice cream scoop. I love it. I use it every day. But that stuff that just sits there collecting dust, or sits in the cupboard, that extra set of china or whatever, you don't have to hold on to it. So what do you do with it? Well, I'll tell you what. I got a phone call from my uncle's wife. He had passed away. He was my father's brother. She called me up and she said, I have your Bubby's china and your Bubby's glasses. Would you like them? I'm like, yes. I was so excited. I'm probably one of the few, younger-ish. Well, I'm not that young, so that's probably why I like them. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Out of all the 9 grandchildren, she knew that I like my family's things, and she called me, and I was thrilled. She couldn't have been more thrilled to get rid of the stuff. I mean, it was a win-win. So look at your stuff. Think of your nieces and nephews, your grandchildren. Would they like it? If not, then guess what? Donate it. You don't have to hold on to it. I'll tell you a story. I had a lady that she loved her sewing machine. She had a whole sewing room made up of tables, and I don't even know sewing, but she had all the sewing stuff, and she had 2 sewing machines, 3 sewing machines. We had to donate one. So I called a refugee place, and there was a woman from Afghanistan. She had 7 children, and she was making her living from home by sewing things. And this sewing machine that had belonged in her family, and it was this older one that didn't work so well, and blah, 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 donated to them. The lady sent me a picture, and if I can find it, I'll repost it with, and the sister would say, sent me a picture of all of her kids around this sewing machine smiling. I mean, it was just such a blessing. So, your stuff doesn't just go into a big black hole. It really does go to people that need it. So if you can release it, then know that it's going to a good place. You're not just throwing it all out. So how do you declutter? And I will promise you, we'll get you all the different places, but there are just a couple, just want to give you a couple little tidbits on how to really start it. Is get support. Call a friend. I mean, I've gone to a couple of my friends' houses, and I'm just sitting there and she's going through her closet. I don't even have to say a thing. I have other friends where I'm like, do you like this? Have you worn this? When was the last time you wore this? Da, da, da. But having a buddy doing it with you helps so much, whether it's your friend or your child. Hire someone professional. It'll be money well spent. Trust me. They'll come in and they can, zip. Not only the thing about a professional is they'll come in, they'll make sure you get rid of stuff, and then at the end they'll haul it out, so you don't even have to worry about anything. And then the third way you can do is pray and do it yourself. So it's always more fun to do it with other people. So where does stuff go? I've said already, you can send stuff to family and friends. Another way is, now there are estate sales, and I did see a couple signs recently, but there's a couple different estate sales. There's a site now called Max Sold, It's one of many. And Max Sold does a complete estate sale of your house without you having anybody trample you through. They catalog everything. They put everything starts at $1. So if you have a beautiful picture and it's, you know, you're freaking out, oh my God, this $1,000-some thing is starting $1. There are many followers on this Max Sold, and things get bid up. So it's it's www.maxsold.com. I don't work for them. I don't have anything to do with them, but just so you can take a look, you bid on it. They arrange to have things picked up one day. So you have to make sure when you bid, or if you shouldn't be getting any more things. So forget about the bidding part. So they only bid, they pick up stuff one day. And let's say you had a table that was full of things. So 1 hour would be for like the stuff that's on top of the table. So from 10 to 12 people would come pick up things on top of the table. 12 to 1, they might come and get the table. And then 2 to 4, they might get the rug underneath it. So it's very organized. So that's one way. If you have a whole house of stuff and you want to get rid of things, and you have a lot of things, that's a good way. You can do the traditional estate sale also. A lot of people use resale. There's sites besides eBay, which I have an eBay account, and when I look at something in my house and I'm not sure I want it anymore, a lot of times I'll just throw it up on there and see what happens. So you can do eBay. There's a site called OfferUp. A lot of people like that. OfferUp is you just take a picture of your item, you put a price on it, and people can make you an offer, but they come to your house to get it. Facebook Marketplace, a lot of younger people use that. There's also many people in the moving business have resources like I know a few estate pickers. So let's say you have some china and you'd like to get rid of. I have a person that specifically looks for china. There are people that look just for collections. Like I have a guy that came and he bought all these model airplanes from somebody. So we can get estate pickers to come. Your listserv is a great place. If you want to just get rid of things quickly, get on your neighborhood listserv. I'm on 20817 listserv. I can't tell you how many things have been given away for free on there. Things have been sold on there. It's a really, really good resource. Another one, if you don't mind people coming to you, is FreeCycle. FreeCycle is, you just put it on there. It has to be for free. I have trouble with FreeCycle because I can never figure out where I am on the map, because you have to tell them where you are on those old-fashioned Montgomery County maps. Like, are you L5, P whatever? They do help you find where you are. And if you write it down and keep it, then it's a good, FreeCycle is a good one. There's FreeCycle throughout the United States. So you sign up for the one closest to you. And then there's, obviously, you can send things to donation. So if you want to just get it out, get to donation. And as you know, many of the places are not open because of COVID. There are a few places that Moyer Move Management does use that we drop at. There are some, like Unique Thrift off Fierce Mill Road. They're open for drop-offs. The hard thing is with Goodwill and Salvation Army, they go click on and off during the COVID. So you really have to call in and check to make sure they're collecting. Places like Wider Circle that used to pick up, they pick up and then they don't pick up. So you have to really get in touch with all of them. So then we have, so I think I answered that question, hopefully. Where did most of the stuff go? Because we do have quite a few options. And that's where, like, working with, if you hire someone, they'll be like, okay, here are your choices. Pick out which one you want to do. Because some things go to some place and some go to the other. Like, I forgot to mention auction too. You can send, so if you have $750 to $1,000 worth of good items, you can send them to Weschler's. And if they are good, then sometimes they'll take your other stuff for everyday auction too. So, but you also have to weigh the thing of, okay, I got to get transported there. If it's a big piece, I got to pay the mover to take it there. And then the auction place takes a percentage. So is it really worth my while to do all that? Which, you talk it over with your friends, with your move manager, whoever, and figure out the best way.
Brenda, we have a few questions. And,
okay.
Thanks
Sure.
first of all, can you put together a list for us when we're done that I can send out to everyone with all of these drop places? And then Interfaith Works, Laura Siegel said, Interfaith Works is a great place and gives to people in Montgomery County. Start taking donations again on February 2nd. And Linda has a question about books and cookbooks. Where do you take them? And Gail Newman says Green Drop picks up. And consignment sites, best ones to sell on?
So there, you know, I have to check to see if it's still there. There was a place in Mazza Galleria that would take the books, and they would actually come and pick them up if you had more than 5 boxes of them. And then there's Reading for the Blind in Baltimore. And like I said, these I'm not sure because of COVID if they're still doing it, but they would take boxes of books also.
Also the Friends of the Library.
Mm-hmm. Right, Friends of the Library. And but you can also donate them at this, like Unique Thrift takes books, and so does Goodwill takes books too. But books are more, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, was books are, you know, when our parents and grandparents, books were such a valuable thing, and they collected them because they were, and now they're just so readily available to us. And you know, if you love a book, like, well, look at Rabbi Shankman with all the books behind her and her profession, and they are beautiful. So I don't want to diss all of those books because she is using every single one, I'm sure, once a year. So, but you know, if you have, like, I had my grandfather's books, like, I mean, he like stuff that I shouldn't be having. So I said, okay, keep one that makes you happy. So I don't think the book and pass on the books. I don't think the book collection should be the way it was, and the same thing with manuals, like get rid of your manuals, for God's sakes. Everything is online. You don't need a file folder full of manuals at all. And also one of my decorator taught me, before I even got into the sorting and organizing business, she taught me I'm only allowed to have 1 set of sheets per bed. But my view is if you have a housekeeper, you should have 2, because you always want to have a new set to be able to put onto the bed. But go through your linen closet, liberate your linens, give them to the dog shelters. They love them at the dog shelters. You really don't need them all. And, you know, if you really can't part with them, then what you do is you take take painter's tape or whatever tape, put them in bundles, wrap them up, put them in the basement, and save them for when you go to the beach. But get them out of your closets, because you really don't need all those linens. I was collecting towels because my grandmother said, oh, I use this towel for 20 years. And I thought, oh my God, I got to keep my towels for 20 years. And then Costco put them on sale, and I got a whole new set of towels. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting new towels every year and giving all my old ones to the dog shelters. This is the best thing. So don't be caught up in traditions like I was. Liberate your linen closet. You definitely can get a lot of room there. Photos. Someone specifically asked about photos. So I'm in the midst of my own project here myself. And what the short, the cheaters route, well, no, the busy people's route is going through a legacy box. Legacy box, you just put everything in a box, ship it off, and they bring you back a thumb drive, and you have all your pictures all happily loaded up on top of there. If you're a little anal like me, who likes to get all my pictures just right and be able to crop them and get them in the right color and whatever, what I've been doing with my albums is I've been taking a picture of my own picture, actually, editing it, and then I got a picture frame that accepts email. So I then email all my pictures to myself. They're up in the cloud, and the frame I'm using is called Picstar. It's mypicstar.com. I got one from my mother. I got to tell you something. She said it was the best present ever. We went through all of her albums. We took pictures of all the pictures that were there. Now you can scan them in. You can also scan them onto a drive and then load them onto the picture frame that way. What's nice is now I'm going through my house and I'm looking at, oh, I don't need that picture frame anymore. Just snap a picture of it or scan it and then send it off on my email. And the good part is I got my mom, like I said, a frame. So I send a picture to my mom, send a picture to me, and then I get rid of the frame. I donate the frame. So I have an entire wall of photo albums that I need to be working on. And I'm going to get all my kids a frame, and I'm just going to send them all out. So we went through, one of my nice clients who's on this call, we went through her pictures, and it was hard. I mean, but we went through them and she liberated them. She said goodbye and, tossed them out. It's okay to toss them out, because guess what? That's what your kids are going to be doing, and they're not going to know who anybody is. So it's better that you do it. And I can tell you the number of times that I've gone in. I mean, one of my saddest things I remember is like 4 years ago, I had to throw this girl's bat mitzvah sign out from her bedroom, and she was probably 28 by that age, but her parents just couldn't do it. So it's better that you can give it a fond farewell. And the things that you get rid of and you throw in the trash, because I didn't think I gave you that as a choice, but yes, the trash is a choice. And I do say, thank you for the joy you gave me. And then I let you go. I release you. And the stuff that I donate, I do the same thing. Thank you for the joy. Go give someone else some joy. And just release the energy with it. I want a little bit about collecting and just touching on that. So I've seen like glass cat in the hat things, Yadro, crystal, baccarat, all that, duck decoys. Back before the internet, it was the art of the hunt. I mean, that's why people like to collect. You would go on your scavenging missions and go try to find them. And now it's click, 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 and oh, there it is. Okay, I'll buy it. So, I mean, our kids aren't collecting, and you gotta no more collecting. Like Hummels are going for nothing. Yadro's very little. There are some collectibles that are still worth quite a bit of money, but like for instance, watches and little pieces, but you'd be surprised. Go look up Steuben on eBay and you'll see some of it's going for under $100. They're not even making it anymore. So stop collecting if you can, if possible. And then I want to tell you about storage units. I'll just like put all my stuff in storage. 90% of the stuff that goes into storage never gets used. It's like owning a boat. It's just what you're losing money. So organize yourself, get it. And if you're thinking of getting a storage unit, yes, short term, set a goal. I need to get this just so I can get it out of my house and sort it, but I'm not going to have it for more than 6 months. If you do need a storage unit, honestly, really, truly, go with a mover, because they have long-term rates versus the short-term, and that's a whole other thing. But as you can see, I'm a little bit anti-storage here. So another little tip too is shredding. When you start going through your items, there are companies in Rockville right now, they're offering free shred services. You could drop off between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. and they'll shred everything. You do not, honestly, I can't imagine needing more than a 4-drawer file cabinet. I just moved a 93-year-old woman that had like 16 drawers and total of 20 drawers. Like, what do you care? What is in there? So go through your paperwork and really decide what you really need, what you don't need. Yes, if you're a professional, you do need things like that, and maybe that does belong in long-term storage and not staring you in the face. So,
Brenda, we have another question. What
sure.
about pianos?
So, pianos are sometimes hard to donate, sometimes not. So I've put them on my listserv. This is the thing. Wherever you donate them to, they have to be transported. So a lot of times people like their pianos so much with me, they'll pay to have them taken to another house, or pay to have it taken. It just becomes part of donation. It breaks my heart to see how many that we have taken to the transfer station and thrown in the trash. So for pianos, my best lifesaver is put them on your listserv. A lot of times we've actually wheeled a piano down the street to a neighbor who had a young child who wanted to learn how to play piano. So they can be placed. To be sold to make quite a bit of money is it's hard. It's very hard to do.
Okay, and we did have two great suggestions. One was to take it to the Jewish Foundation for group homes, and the other was to take it to a nursing home.
They have a lot. I mean, I work in all these homes, so you can call them. They have, most of them have a lot of it, but sometimes the schools actually, believe it or not, might want it, or the churches. But it's like reach out to your own network, I'd say, first, and we'll place the piano. We'll find a place, and I know that there's within our own corporate files, I know that they've listed places where you can donate pianos that they take, like lost instruments, basically. So musical instruments definitely can easily be donated. And like I said, don't be afraid to ask friends and organizations and like the unopened gifts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we have a sisterhood auction, that kind of stuff can all put it in a pile and let it go to the sisterhood auction. Find out who's the auction chair and get it out of your house and into their house.
I will say, if anybody does have anything, please drop it off at Bindeman Center and just label it Women of Washington Hebrew, and we will put it together. So for our next silent auction, we'll put it in there. Thank you.
Yeah,
But it has to be new.
And different, like we have resources for, let's say, like all your kids' t-shirts. We have people that do make the t-shirt quilts. I mean, beautiful quilts. So there are different ways to repurpose the things, to reuse things. I found today my grandmother's scissors. I try to use them. They didn't work because they're so unsharp. But I have a little shrine that I have my Judaica on. So I said, I'll just put the scissors there. They make me happy to see them. And when I stop being happy to see them, then they'll be donated. So just, keep asking yourself, does this give me joy? Give yourself, set a date. Say, okay, by July 4th, don't say by July. Give you a July 4th, I'm going to have one bag done. And one thing I missed out too, one of my greatest resources for donation is my housekeeper. I ask her if she'll take these to her church or she has things for friends. Every single week, without a doubt, I have a bag for my housekeeper. And if I don't, I start looking. I even give her stuff in the refrigerator sometimes. I mean, I'm like, so.
I want to say something about old prayer books.
Yeah, I just saw it, Randy.
That comes to, you can drop them off at the temple.
Well, so you can, we don't really, because we don't want boxes and boxes of old prayer books because there's not really anything for us to do with them. I mean, usually the prayer books that are dropped off are things that people have found in family members' homes, and they're not the ones that we're using anymore. But there is, for old prayer books, you can drop them at a temple or Bindeman, and if they're not of use anymore, they'll be taken, meaning they're if they're too old to be used, if they're not, there are places that will take old prayer books. There are communities that need prayer books, communities not just in the US, but other places as well. So we'll try to help facilitate a match, but right now is not a great time for that because there's not anyone really doing that specific work. But the other thing is that we have a Geniza out at the Garden of Remembrance at Gan Zikaron, which is a special place where we bury old prayer books and books that are in Hebrew that are no longer of use or maybe damaged and can't be used anymore. So that's, that's one of the things that we do with prayer books. In fact, I have a bag of them sitting in my front hall from a colleague from another synagogue dropped them off for me to take the next time I'm out at Garden of Remembrance. So not to say that everyone should start dropping off old prayer books at my house, because I'm not sure where I'll keep those. But you could drop them at Bindeman or Temple. And also feel free to check in with me if that's something that you're looking to do. And sometimes we're able to make a match depending on what the prayer book is, because depending on what it is, there are communities that can use them. And sometimes, frankly, we've found that there are books that are of value, that, people might not know what the book is. It might look like a prayer book because it's in Hebrew, but it could end up being something else. And we've actually discovered some, not rare books, but important books that need to be elsewhere. There are places that that can take and make use of Hebrew books.
And also in Amherst, I think Amherst, Massachusetts is where the Yiddish Museum is.
Evo in Northampton, I think.
So,
right there.
If you Google the Yiddish books, I've sent books up to there also. They'll happily accept them.
All right, and I actually want to go back to the baby piano, or the pianos. Amy Michaels said that if you have pianos or other large items, she can post on Long and Foster network of agents. They often post such items on behalf of their clients, friends, and family, and she would be glad to post. And I will send you in our note her email. And I have 2 questions. One is about crystal. What do you do with crystal? And the other is, how would you go about organizing a large toy room?
Okay, so crystal, it just depends on if they want to get rid of it, depending on who makes it and whatnot. Sometimes Weschler's is a good place. An auction house would be a good place for that. The picker that I know of, who buys different types of crystals not being collected like my generation. I know everyone got crystal. So I would say if you like your crystal, keep it, display it, put some lights out, get your children to love it so you can pass it on to them. But there's just such a glut. It's the same thing people say, what do I do with my extra sterling, my extra china? So I always call my picker and say, are you interested in this? And if they say not, then it's just generally donatable. And unfortunately it does, but like I said, donation, it goes to great things. And I know I've donated the Interfaith Works is actually where the sewing machine went to. It goes to people that really care. So don't, you're being selfish. Don't hold on to your things. Get rid of your things is the bottom line.
Okay,
and then the other.
Oh, my voice doesn't sound good. Laura Siegel suggested for China silver crystal, there's a company called Replacements Unlimited that sells discontinued and current patterns. So that might be an idea.
Yeah, and
eBay in
is
North
good.
Carolina buys old China and crystal.
Yeah, I mean, and this, if you think something's worth what, you want to know what it's worth, like talking to this one person that I'm connected with, or other antique people, like if you took it up to Weschler's, they'll give you an idea. They're very nice about it. And also that I sold it. It used to be the eBay people, but now they have multiple resources for selling things. So they're great for getting in. I think you have to have a $75 value. So clearly a piano would be worth more. And they're a good resource just to get a general reference on what something might be worth, because they'll do all the research for you. They'll do all the posting, all that kind of stuff. And I think they're in Gaithersburg, actually. Wait, and then there was a second part, Crystal, and what was the other?
The other is, how do you go about organizing a large
toy room. Organizing a toy room. Well, it's hard. Obviously, it's hard to say without saying, but you need places to put things. So I would say first take a look at the furniture in that room and see if any of it's functional and for storage, because you want things to be able to be stored, and then you want things to be safely used also. And learn how to cycle out the things that your kids aren't using anymore. So if you're in a play group and your kid is you have the oldest or the youngest in that group, see if you can cycle it out to another play group. So it's really a function of of storage and the pieces of furniture that you have there, and not having too much, for God's sakes. I hope that helps. All right. I think that's it. So I'd say like challenge you all to just fill a bag, get a shopping bag, fill it with, some of the things that you don't want, but take a picture for if your kids say, I do that all the time. Do you want this? No. Okay. Goes in the bag. I can tell you 95% of the time my kids say no. That's like, oh my God, it's so sentimental. I want it. They should have it. They don't want it. Goes in the bag. So, try that out. And if you need extra help, you can call me. I will give you tips, more tips, advice, and talk to a friend. I mean, it's a fun thing to do in the afternoon. If you have your pod and you people have quarantined together, then you just do a closet, just one closet. You'll get both of your houses in shape. All right. Any other questions? I can't.
Any other questions? What about Madame Alexander dolls?
There are collectors that still that buy dolls. And it depends on the condition that they're in, whether they come with a box, whether they have all the paperwork that goes alongside of it. Anything, if you want to collect something, you better save your original receipt. You better save the original packaging, and you better save all the material that comes with it. All of that is what really makes a lot of these older things valuable, like electronics. People that sell very old electronics, if they have all the packaging in it, it really sells well. So Madame Alexander dolls, they're not going to sell at the original price, but you could still get a decent amount of them, whether you're buying them, selling them through eBay or other sources. But don't go collect like 50 Madame Alexander dolls.
Okay, well, this was an amazing presentation, and the chat box has been amazing. So we will put together a list of your suggestions and Brenda's suggestions. And thank you very much. This was amazing, and I love the one bag, just one bag at a time. Jane, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I have a reference.
Oh.
All those things that Brenda was saying about she had a client that did X, Y, and Z, that was I. Including having a storage unit, which when Brenda found out I had a storage unit, this was after my husband passed away, she said to me, do you know what's in the storage unit? I said, yes, I have a box by box list of what's in the storage unit. She looked at this list. She said to me, okay, you are going to meet me and two guys in a truck at that storage unit on Tuesday. And an hour later, that storage unit was empty. I worked with Brenda for almost 3 years because I had to empty out my house, and my husband was a hoarder and a collector and an everything. I was overwhelmed by the process. If it hadn't been for Brenda, I would still be living in that house with all that crap all around me. So don't be unwilling to get help, because not only do they help you go through stuff, they take it away. And that's really the key item. Get it out of my house. So Brenda was a saint. You can't imagine the stuff I gave to Sinai Hospital. She would load up she would bring her Suburban, she would load it up and take it away. And that's the bottom line. Got to get it out of your house. And I managed to move from a 4-bedroom, 3-story house to a 2-bedroom apartment. So it's doable.
I wanted to say something about dolls. When I sold my house in 2015, a friend of mine in Florida who's from Baltimore told me the name of this company, and I can't remember the name, but they came to my house, and I had all my grandmother's doll collection from Europe. And, I'm sorry I didn't know Brenda to tell me, thank them for their joy and get rid of them, because I was crying at each doll that left. But anyway, this place was fabulous, and they told me they would get to my dolls when possible because they were dealing with Shirley Temple's collection. So it tells you how good they are. And Brenda is so resourceful. I know she can find the name, and if not, I will try to ask my friend again. I just can't remember the name of it, but it's so convenient for everyone in the Washington area. Brenda, do you know that company?
No, I don't have it at the tip of my fingers, but I'm sure that we have it somewhere in our vendor list. I'll take a look.
That I only wish I had known your philosophy to thank them for their joy before they left me. But anyway, this was terrific. Thank you.
I also want to say something. If you have, oh, I'm sorry. If you have Hebrew books, you can send them to universities. I do that all the time because I have lots of books, as you can see, and some double, and a lot of universities who teach Judaism will take anything you send them. And
Thank
also
you.
there is a place in Rockville that buys toys. It's called Toys R Us. I keep selling all the stuff that I don't need for my grandkids.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us in Rockville. Mhm.
ARE instead of R.
Toys, like a toy, R-E-us.
And there's also Kid to Kid.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's in the same place, I think, that.
Okay. Great.
Brenda, are you going to tell us the name of the place that does the china that you pick up, that will pick, you know, your estate pickers or whatever you call them?
Oh, the name of the person? Yeah, I can share the name of the person. I'll send it to Randy afterwards. Her
And then
name's
I'll send it out to you guys later this afternoon.
Meredith. She's really good. Sometimes I go into a place and people think they have so much stuff worth whatever, and they just want to get a basis understanding what they have. I'll have her come in, and sometimes Meredith will bring somebody else to go through things and give them a value. The other guy and then we also have people that are like full on estate pickers. He'll come into your place and he'll say, okay, I'll give you $100 for that and $15 for that. And how about this? And he'll just give you cash and walk away with your things.
And
But
then you can see it on eBay for $1,000.
then, and he could, but guess what? He hauled it out of your house. You didn't pay to have to move it, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, some of the stuff you buy, it's like, really? He's taking that. And it's, if you want to sell it, it's your things, it's a little bit more work. Some things do sell, some things don't. But I always say, like, you know, go give someone else joy. A lot. It's nice to donate. And you know, the donation thing now is, we don't even get to really get a write-off. So you just have to have the kindness in your heart when you donate.
Brenda, I have a great hint when it comes to cleaning out your closet, that I put it on and I say I have to wear it for the entire day. And actually, after 1 hour, you know that you don't want it, but you have to wear it for the whole day.
Good idea.
Makes it very easy.
That's a great idea.
It's a very good one.
Let's get to the last question.
Mhm.
Who was that you, Lisa?
Yeah. We donated some of the nice stuff, nice china and stuff, to Prevention for the Blind, and they resell it and then they get to keep the money. So that's also another thing for you all to know, to put on the list as well.
Oh, good. Okay. Will you just
I
put
have
it in the
1,000
chat?
boxes in my house, in the basement, from my dad's house that was brought over to my house to go through. Isn't that nice?
Okay. Lisa, will you put that in the chat, please, to everyone?
I did.
Okay. I
And
wanted to thank you, Brenda. Do you have any last words?
No, I was just gonna say, she made me think about Prevention for the Blind. One of the, also, don't save your old glasses too. Those are all donatable to Prevention for the Blind, takes them also. So I always, whenever I'm helping someone clean out their house and they have some glasses, I just hold on to them and then I take them up to a source of mine to recycle. Same thing, like with one thing real quick is with your local high school. I collect cameras that I donate to Whitman High School, and that they couldn't be happier to receive all that kind of stuff. I've given art supplies to Whitman High School, maps and different types of things. So think of your high school, you know, if you had a favorite teacher that was over there for your kids, connect with them. And if you have your geometry, math books, whatever, see if you can donate them to the local high schools. And they so appreciate everything that we give to the teachers.
And that makes me think about the books. I know that Walter Johnson and I think it's BCC collect books, and then they sell, you buy a bag of books for $25 and that goes straight to the school, wherever they're funding, whether it's a creative arts program or a sports program. So that's always a really nice way to take care of your old books.
Yes,
Yeah, the number of-
BCC does do that.
And
BCC.
also one other really important thing that I didn't touch on, because we haven't had these lately, but when the things start settling down and you start getting calls from the charitable organizations and they ask you if you have any donations, say yes. Just say yes, whether you have anything or not. Just say yes, and then you go fill your bag. And trust me, you will have a bag to fill, and they will appreciate it, and you will be happy when that stuff gets out of your house. So it should be starting up soon again, and that's kind of a good way to start also. If you haven't done anything, you'll kind of get a little chuckle and think about our lunch today and say, oh yeah, okay, I'm supposed to do that. Yes. So
What about textbooks?
you know, I got to tell you, some textbooks sell for quite a bit on eBay. So my first place I would look would be to post them up on eBay.
Oh, that's good to know.
If you don't see them up on eBay, then I would straight up donate them to whatever.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. And Brenda, thank you so much. I always
Thank
love
you.
your presentations. You inspire me to get a bag and say yes and put it out by my garage. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. And Brenda, thank you for giving us some extra time. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week.
All right. Take care, everybody.